Imagine you're taking your very next breath, but nothing happens. The air is still there, but the oxygen is gone. Within seconds, millions of people collapse. Airplanes lose control, cities descend into chaos, the oceans begin to change, and even the strongest buildings start to weaken. For just 5 terrifying minutes, Earth becomes almost uninhabitable. What would really happen if our planet lost every molecule of oxygen? This isn't science fiction, it's a terrifying scientific thought experiment. At exactly 12 o'clock noon, something impossible happens. Every molecule of oxygen in Earth's atmosphere suddenly disappears. The air doesn't vanish, nitrogen remains, argon remains, carbon dioxide remains, but the 21% of Earth's atmosphere that keeps nearly every living creature alive is simply gone. No warning, no explosion, no sound, just one invisible change that instantly transforms the planet. Every person takes their next breath, expecting life-giving oxygen. Instead, their lungs fill with air that can no longer sustain life. The human body stores only a tiny reserve of oxygen. Within seconds, brains begin consuming what little remains in the bloodstream. Confusion spreads, hearts race, vision begins to blur. Across the world, billions of people instinctively gasp for another breath. But every breath is now completely useless. Wildlife reacts instantly. Lions collapse in the African savanna. Eagles lose control high above mountain ranges. Dolphins desperately surface, only to find no oxygen waiting above the waves. Every creature that depends on oxygen suddenly shares the same terrifying fate. Earth has entered 5 minutes unlike anything in its 4.5 billion year history. 10 seconds have passed. Every human being is now fighting the same invisible enemy. Oxygen levels inside the body are falling rapidly. The brain, which consumes enormous amounts of oxygen every second, begins shutting down. People stumble across sidewalks. Drivers lose focus behind the wheel. Conversations stop mid-sentence. Athletes collapse in the middle of games. Teachers fall silent inside classrooms. Emergency dispatch centers receive millions of calls. Then suddenly, the calls stop. Air traffic controllers lose consciousness. Pilots struggle to remain alert as warning alarms echo through cockpits. Hospitals activate emergency oxygen systems. Intensive care units become the only places where some patients briefly survive using stored oxygen. Firefighters, police officers, surgeons, astronauts. No profession is spared. Around 30 seconds after oxygen disappears, many people begin losing consciousness. Others remain awake just long enough to understand one horrifying truth. They are suffocating, while surrounded by air. As humanity struggles below, Earth's atmosphere begins revealing another terrifying consequence. Oxygen isn't just essential for breathing. It also plays a major role in how our atmosphere scatters sunlight. The familiar bright blue sky slowly begins to darken. The sun appears harsher. Shadows become sharper. Above the cities, silence replaces birdsong. Thousands of birds lose consciousness and begin falling from the sky like rain. Passenger aircraft continue flying for a short time under autopilot. But without conscious pilots, disaster is inevitable. High above the oceans, fighter jets, helicopters, cargo planes, all continue their final journeys. Across the planet, people who are still barely conscious look upward. The world they have known for their entire lives is literally changing above their heads. 5 minutes has never felt so long. Oxygen doesn't only exist in the air. It is also part of countless materials that make modern civilization possible. Concrete, glass, metals, countless chemical compounds depend on oxygen at the atomic level. If oxygen truly vanished everywhere, the consequences would become catastrophic. Reinforced concrete would begin losing structural integrity. Bridges develop massive cracks. Skyscrapers groan under impossible stress. Glass windows suddenly shatter across entire city blocks. Dust clouds rise into the air as buildings begin collapsing. Historic monuments fracture. Roads split apart. Massive suspension bridges twist under changing structural forces. Entire skylines become unstable. Survivors who remain conscious witness civilization itself beginning to fall apart. The nightmare is no longer limited to breathing. Earth itself seems to be breaking apart. Nearly 2 minutes have passed since oxygen vanished. Across the globe, modern civilization is losing control. Millions of vehicles are still moving, but almost no one is conscious enough to operate them. Highways become rivers of destruction. Cars drift across lanes before slamming into one another. Massive chain reaction crashes stretch for miles. Freight trucks overturn, spilling cargo across interstates. Emergency sirens echo through cities, but fewer and fewer people remain capable of responding. Thousands of commercial airliners continue flying on autopilot. Inside every cabin, passengers have collapsed into their seats. Flight attendants are unable to help. Pilots struggle to remain conscious before eventually blacking out. Air traffic controllers are gone. The skies have become silent. Without communication or guidance, aircraft begin drifting from assigned flight paths. Fuel continues burning. Time continues running out. On the oceans, giant cargo ships sail forward with no commands. Cruise ships carrying thousands drift aimlessly. Passenger trains race down tracks with no engineers awake to stop them. Subway systems grind to a halt as power fluctuations begin spreading through major cities. Everywhere, motion has become danger. The machines humanity built to connect the world are now becoming some of its greatest threats. While humanity fights for survival on land, another disaster unfolds beneath the waves. Earth's oceans contain enormous amounts of dissolved oxygen. Fish, whales, dolphins, sea turtles, every marine animal depends on it. As atmospheric oxygen disappears, the delicate balance between the ocean and the atmosphere is violently disrupted. Near the surface, oxygen levels begin dropping. Schools of fish become disoriented. Sharks slow their movement. Dolphins repeatedly surface, instinctively searching for breathable air that no longer exists. Coral reefs, already stressed by warming oceans, begin suffering another devastating blow. Tiny organisms called phytoplankton, responsible for producing nearly half of Earth's oxygen over time, can no longer function normally. Entire marine ecosystems begin collapsing. Along coastlines, birds fall into the sea. Seals and sea lions struggle helplessly. Massive whales rise to the surface for one final breath, only to find empty air. Even the oceans, Earth's greatest source of life, cannot escape this catastrophe. Every ecosystem on the planet is now connected by one shared crisis: the absence of oxygen. 5 minutes, 300 seconds. That's all it took to bring an entire planet to the edge of extinction. Then, just as suddenly as it vanished, oxygen returns. Invisible, silent, but life-changing. Across the world, millions of people who are still alive instinctively gasp for their first real breath. Emergency workers regain consciousness. Pilots fight desperately to recover aircraft still in the sky. Drivers awaken inside wrecked vehicles. Parents search through collapsed buildings for loved ones. Hospitals become overwhelmed within minutes. Every ambulance, every firefighter, every rescue helicopter is pushed beyond its limits. But the nightmare isn't over. Highways are filled with twisted metal. Cities are covered in dust. Oceans are littered with dying marine life. Power grids struggle to recover. Supply chains have collapsed. Governments declare global states of emergency unlike anything in human history. Scientists race to understand the impossible event. News broadcasts replay the same haunting question: how did this happen? Yet one truth becomes painfully clear. Humanity has always depended on oxygen, but we rarely stop to appreciate it. Every breath we take is a miracle of chemistry, biology, and the delicate balance of our planet. Remove it, even for only 5 minutes, and civilization itself begins to unravel. Fortunately, this scenario remains a thought experiment. Earth's oxygen cannot simply disappear overnight. But it reminds us how fragile life truly is, and how every breath is a gift we often take for granted. The next time you inhale, remember, your entire world depends on that single breath.